The views on the financial videos are doing very well, so I'm going to continue with financial videos for a little bit, maybe until I run out of ideas. Come up with something if you guys want more financial videos, because I honestly think that I can provide a lot more information if you guys trying to be successful, joining the military to obviously get ahead in life. What is up, guys? You're tuning in to Nikki MGTV for another video. As always, you can hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below if you have questions. But as always, let's right into the topic of you liking, commenting, subscribing, notification bell. If you guys, no one even notices I put the Taco Bell symbol every video. Jeez. I mean, like, come on, man. The irony of the bell. Everyone does the same simple little YouTube bell. It's like, hey, guys, I'm begging you to hit that. No, I'm telling you guys to go get a Gordita Crunch. Man, I didn't think telling you guys to go eat a decent meal was going to be such a hard thing, but okay, never mind, I'm done. We're going to dive into a lot of the stuff that we've talked about as far as you making money in the military. If you guys have not watched my past two videos that have been done very well, my first video I released a couple days ago was about how much I get paid. The second one was how to invest the money that you earn in the military to make a paycheck. I just realized I just got my tea just now, so this is going to be a long one. And I agree, a lot of you guys are coming from a high school situation into the military to try and increase your value of your time, your knowledge, your skills, things like that in order to get ahead in life. And that's kind of what this channel is about, is to help you guys get ahead in life and make as much money as possible. I would say to the point where I would like to say that you can either have the decision to stay in the military and be able to do a full 20 years if that's what you desire, or get out and be successful. Either way, that is the goal, is for you to be successful. It's not purely about the military. It's about using the military as a resource to make yourself better. But I do want to say that your choice right now, not to scare you, but could definitely change the path of where you end up in the future. Definitely like the butterfly effect, and that's what I reflect back on my own decisions being in the military to talk about this on this channel. So the first thing I'm going to cover with this is there are only so many jobs that offer $100,000 a year. It's not a lot, to be honest. And looking this up, the average American is only earning about $56,000. So you have to think about the margin of difference in world of difference that you can expect if this is what you're trying to reach, or your goal, which is realistic. I'm going to put your mind there. That is realistic, but it's going to come down to a few things of you making the right decisions. My next preface about any job that you choose that's going to earn you $100,000 a year is going to be, it has to be valued, or your worth or your salary is based on one primary thing, and that is the types of problems that you can solve. So if that could be working at a special shift at a special location, if that could be your skill set at a specific spot, at a certain company, you have to understand where you're going to fit in with whatever organization you're at. This is because it rolls right into the next thing I want to say, credentialing. All these military jobs are not in the business of getting you credentialed right out of your initial training, right out of boot camp, whatever it is. You're not going to leave your boot camp or A school typically making six figures. That's just factual information, statistically probably not likely if you're riding on the exact skills that you got. My next advice to preface this entire thing is it's on the understanding that you will have the opportunity to get these jobs if you network. And my biggest advice for this is when you go to your first command, or when you first get out into the military, wherever you're at, I need you to start looking at who is successful, who is doing things the right way. So that means talking to somebody that you look up to, maybe an officer that you see that went from prior enlisted to their route, or somebody that's doing something very big where you would like to be. Start searching those people out, because those people, like me, are willing to help you if you are looking for advice to get there. So be willing to ask for help, and don't be scared to talk to these people. A lot of people are more so willing to help you out than you think, because like myself, I remember being in your shoes when I was 18, maybe 20 years old, looking at what I wanted to do the rest of my life. And obviously we were at one point maybe nothing, trying to just make our way through the world. So definitely search out help to network with people, and that will help you get your foot in the door, because as much as the military is a great stepping stone, this ends eventually, whether it's at 4 years or 20 years, and you could be looking at a potential employer that could be hiring you, or a potential future boss that could be wanting to help you out as well. So keep that in mind. The last thing I want to say, in the Navy, we talk about choose your rate, choose your fate. This is true. So I don't want to pressure you guys as far as picking the perfect job, because I know it's difficult, but I also believe it's doing the best with what you have and being creative at doing that. So, and that means there are people that have been culinary specialists. There are people that have done a lot of other things that have been successful, even though they've had jobs that were not the best. If you guys don't know Cassidy Campbell, he's a funny comedian here on YouTube and Instagram, and he was an undesignated airman, and he's probably making a lot more money than a lot of people in the military right now just based off his comedy. So being inventive and finding ways to do what you love and be able to make money off of that, I think that should be the one thing that you're searching for. All right, now that we got through the entire preface of this video, so we're going to break this down based on your initial decision where you're at right now as the first step all the way to 6 steps. I have 6 steps to this entire process. So the first one is your ASVAB. Obviously, your ASVAB is based on nothing to 99, okay? And a lot of people don't understand how to prepare for this. You know, if you got a good score, if you got a bad score, pretty much if you have a 50 or above, you're going to get a decent job, something that you probably are not going to feel too cornered into. As somebody that was barely over the 50 range, I was offered 5 different jobs for the Navy. Obviously, I will let you know this. If you have never been on my channel, I did not study for the ASVAB at all. I had no understanding what that actually meant when I took the ASVAB. And when I originally went to my recruiting station, I took the practice, and they said I passed. So I said, okay, you just have to pass this test. And then when I went back to the recruiting station one day to fill out paperwork, they said, oh, there's an ASVAB being held today. Do you want to take it? And I said, yes, I will take it, because I had no work that evening. So I went to go take it, and I didn't understand that your score dictated where you're at. And they're like, yeah, you passed by a good amount. You're going to pass the written one. So I didn't really think anything about it. Ended up scoring, I think, only a 53, because I was just thinking, oh, well, if I did so well on that, and you just saying I'm going to pass, I didn't understand how that applied. But if you guys want my quick tips on this, it would be start looking at the types of questions for like the mechanical and stuff like that, because those are very standardized questions, and understanding what they're thinking when they talk about circuits and mechanical stuff and how this pulley affects that thing. That's something that I wish I would have went back over. Also, math is one of those things that can make or break you getting some of these very good jobs. Obviously, math is involved in a lot of different things. Even though you really probably hated it while you were in school, studying math is easy to measure and easy to tell if you know it or not, because you're going to be able to see if you get the right answer or not. So set aside, I would say, maybe 30 minutes to an hour a day to practice these skills. That way it doesn't feel overburdensome, and that way you're not burning yourself out. You scored a 50 to 60 and you really want that higher score, understand that if you're going to take the risk of taking the ASVAB again, this means that you really have to buckle down and study, because if you get a less score, you are going to be highly disappointed. So if you're going to retake it, make sure it's for a purpose that you really think that you're going to do better. If you have an 85, I'm not going to advise you to go study and retake it again to try and get a 99. That's just not realistic. I would stick with that score and continue forward. Next, I want you to compare your score. So what I mean by this is recruiters are able to pull lists for what you are able to get for your jobs. Now, this is very important because obviously some of you have written me before and you're like, I'm interested in X job or this job or that job, and that's great, but you have to be able to match your score to what you're eligible for, because it's no good looking at jobs that you can't even pick. Another factor to you picking the right job are based on some things that are in and out of your control. The first one is medical. So medical conditions can limit you, and I'll just use one example, is color blindness. There are certain jobs, obviously, you cannot pick that job if you're colorblind. For example, EOD, for example, cut the red wire, blue wire. We don't want to make any mistakes on this. So next is legal aspects. I don't know how this is working right now. I will say we had somebody that was in my pharmacy tech class that had a drug possession charge, which he was then removed from our program because he had a waiver to come in for it. So understand that your previous legal issues can hinder you in your ability to get certain jobs. And this also rolls into the clearance aspect, because if you have legal issues that might not allow you to have a clearance, this is something to consider. Also, your financial status, okay? So if you are in the hole heavily as far as debt, that can affect your ability to get clearance for some of these more in-demand jobs. So obviously having less debt would be beneficial. You're probably going to ask, what about student loans? How much is too much? I do not know the answer, but I do know that it will affect your ability to obtain clearance as far as top secret or something like that, because obviously if you are risky with your money and not responsible, that could show that you could be irresponsible or risky with classified material. So that's kind of the mindset behind that. So obviously getting ahead on your bills or maybe knocking some of those down might actually help you guys out. Now your next steps, as much as you probably will not understand how your medical, legal, or your finances will affect your job, you should label your jobs from number 1, the best job that you want, to number whatever of the last job you want. This is because this is based on supply and demand. If you are not aware, they could offer you, out of say 10 jobs that are available to you, they could offer only the bottom 3. So if only those 3 are there, which ones would you pick? And we're going to go into why you'd pick ones and which ones you would not. All right, so to keep you guys up to date on whatever time period you're watching this video, I'm going to show you on Google here how to find your advancement results, because I believe your advancement results should factor in a little bit in whether you choose a job or do not choose a job, because obviously if you are making rank, you will make more money, which will make you probably more likely to either have the ability to stay in and choose the military as an option, and also give you the opportunity to leave and do something else. So the first thing I'm going to do here is type in Navy advancement quotas 2019. Now quotas, for a lot of people that don't know, these are the ability to advance within your job, and they tell you out of everyone that was eligible for that next rank, how many people made it the previous time. I do like using all hands here. They do a good display of this and kind of break it down for you. If you want to click on theirs, obviously the active duty is going to be the one that you want if you're active, or full-time support. I have to add, this chart is also going to show you the meritorious advancement program. Those people that are able to advance based on if their command recognize them as the best sailor for their command and put them up for it. So now what you're going to do is you're going to reflect on this list right here, and you should kind of look at, you have your E4 right here, you have your E5 right there, and your E6 right there, and each job is located on the left here. You can see at the cycle 244 quotas, that's how many people were able to make it. And you can see across to the right here, there's the executed meritorious advancement. So there were 84 advanced, 26 were meritoriously advanced. Other advancement paths, that could be something like a reenlistment or bonus, like somebody was able to reenlist maybe and get an advancement. Certain jobs do have that. For example, corpsmen, they have laboratory techs that are now able to reenlist and get automatic E5. So it's very niche things. I can't dive into every one of those, but understand the 2 ways that you can advance are through the Navy-wide advancement test and also the meritorious advancement. The very niche things you'll find more about once you actually join the military. On the right here, it talks about the total advancement opportunity. Obviously, you can reflect on this right now with the most current Navy advancement, but it will change in 6 months. Also, look at the future ranks. If it is 100% to E4, but only 1% to E5, that may mean that you're going to be stuck at E4 for a while if you do see that statistically showing the previous cycles from 243, 242, 241 have shown 100%, and then E5 being much tougher. So just factor this as, I would say, like a 1%. It's not the make or break, but it should be considered as you break down and you rank each job. I would write down the advancement so that way you have a general understanding of what you're getting into. All right, so this is the final point of the video where I'm going to pretty much break down the best part of how to figure out you getting a 6-figure job. And I'm going to use a few different rates as an example. I will use hospital corpsman. I will use a lot of other jobs as well to kind of give an example of factoring advancement into this. So obviously, you would like something that does advance well and something that also is going to yield a high amount of return as far as pay. So let's go through this. So first, this website looks very generic, but I promise you it is a good resource, even though it does look dated. So look at the site here. You're going to click on Navy Cool and go to rating right here. And designator, that's for officer. You could click that as well if you're considering going officer. It won't hurt you either way that you try and go through it. So clicking on rating, you have different types of stuff. So I'm actually going to go to AG because somebody was asking for that in the previous video in the comments. So I'll click on that just for example. All right, so right here on this page, you're going to see that the aerographer's mate, they talk about all the jobs that they do, talks about everything within that specific job that they're going to do, and that's all important. But you're going to talk about related credentials, related occupations, education, things like that, advancement exam. You can read these if you're going to take the advancement exam. This is what you should be looking at. But we're going to go over to related occupations. Now, this is going to break down a lot of different jobs, the hot jobs, ones that are in high demand, the bright outlook, registered apprenticeship, salary stuff. So this is all going to be based off the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's where all this data comes from. So this is going to give you a huge wide blanket look at one specific job. For example, I have no idea what a hydrologist is, but I'm going to click on this. Now, I've learned nothing about hydrologists, but looking at this site here, you can see that the average salary is about $79,000. That's the median salary there, going up to $122,000 and starting out as little as $48,000. Now, what's essential about this is that you're going to be clicking on how to get started in your career. So if you're an AG and you wanted to look at how to get started and get credentialing in this, you can find your training. You can find the certifications to be able to market yourself. You can also find your licenses. I've already opened these tabs, so we're going to go over to those. So here it lists all the schools that you could consider. I opened up California because that's where I'm actually living at most of my adult life, but just to kind of look at this. So you can start looking and just say, oh, I could find a place near my hometown that I actually think is probably a place that I'd like to go to school, and I can still do something that is related to my job. It even talks about here are the credentials. There's only one right here, which is the Professional Hydrology Certification. So I don't even know what that is, but it's there and you can try and get it. And also, I will say certifications that are related to your job, you can actually have the military pay for through this website. It's called Navy Cool. You should go to this. You can print out a voucher, which will be good to have it paid for by the military. You're just going to need your chief, your E7 or above, your gunnery sergeant, whatever, to be able to sign this off. I'm going to go over to another example to kind of show you what I'm talking about as a spectrum. So the next one I'm going to talk about is, I'm sorry, I have to rename this because it was Ship Serviceman SH, or now Retail Service Specialist. These guys are the ones that run the store on the ship. They do haircuts, laundry, stuff like that. So historically speaking, a lot of their advancement has been very slow, with their advancement to E4 being 17%, E5 being 8%, and 6% for E6. So obviously looking at this, it's not an amazing job to make rank, but it's not impossible. So we'll dive into this. So again, we're going to be clicking here on related occupations, and it does talk about barber, laundry operator, retail operator right there. Click on related occupations. So you can see none of them are most. A lot of these are just some. So except for first line supervisor, retail sales workers, that's because you're running a store pretty much. So understand that if that's what they're saying is a most likely for you to get, you might want to click on those versus ones that are going to be some, because it's less likely. And the comparison here is you are looking at the average salary of just this one job. So you're looking at $39,000, okay, making that out of the military. So you're looking at something where the advancement's not the highest in the military. Your prospect for the most common job that you're going to get in the military is not going to be as high. So just realize if you're doing that, what is your prospect leaving the military? Again, I did preface this video saying that there are a lot of other factors that are going to deviate from just this factual material. And there's no exact saying that once you leave the military, you're making $39,000 like this is saying. It's on a spectrum. Also, if you work outside of this doing a totally different job. So I hope I walked you through the steps of understanding the steps of picking your job, studying for the ASVAB, compare your scores, understand outside factors can change your ability to pick those jobs even though you meet the scores such as legal, medical, financial issues. Look at the advancement, then look at Navy Cool and be able to pick the jobs, look at jobs and what are the most likely to be filled, and look at their pay scale based on the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and then start looking at the highest paying jobs. Also, pay attention to the credentialing and the types of degrees that you need in order to get into these jobs. They are literally telling you if you do these steps, you'll most likely be earning in these ballpark figures. So even if it's not the most and it's less likely type of job for you to get in your spectrum, start looking at ways that you can guide your career in that way if there's another opportunity that you can take to go in that route. Again, this entire video is about setting you guys up to make that six-figure job or trying to get you into that position to where you can eventually make that kind of money. So if you guys do have further questions about this or anything else, you can always hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below. I love you guys. See you next time.